Welcome back to the latest episode of TT Plays. My name's Sung Soo, and we are going to be talking about recollections. But before we jump into that, I want to say, hey, I'm almost to 500 subs, which is pretty cool. For a niche game, I'm pretty happy with that. I know other channels have more, but we're just worried about ourselves. Happiness comes from within. And if we get to 500 subs in the next 2 weeks, I will give away at least one of these recollections, maybe two. I don't know how I'm going to give it away yet, but you will have to be a subscriber. So if you're interested, help us get to 500. Maybe you win a recollection. Okay, enough of that. We are going to be making a deck here today, and basically the way I'm going to kind of format my content for a little while is I'm going to do a deck dojo, similar to the one you can see here on the screen with Arisana, and then I'm going to have a gameplay video where I'm playing that Arisana into kind of like a known or a meta or a staple deck. So you can look forward for that video coming, but today we're going to do another deck tech, and the reason I'm stalling is because they haven't released the Mercurial Hearts card pack yet, like with all the images and stuff for content creators, and making like the videos, gameplay videos already take a lot of time. When I have to cut and trim and edit all the photos beforehand, it was just getting kind of astronomical. So there will be gameplay videos. The idea is it's going to be like deck dojo. We create a deck, then we have the deck play against the meta deck, then I go back for an update, then I play it again. So it'll kind of be like a 4-part video series. But today I want to talk about slimes. So you know Arisana is near and dear to my heart, but everyone loves slimes. Basically, you have a little amorphous blob and you put a smiley face on it, and everyone gets excited. How could you not be excited for this card? So there's a bunch of different ways to play slimes, and obviously the recollection lets us play all slimes, and I don't think that's the way I want to go. I want to pick a primary element and kind of dig through that. So looking at our kind of primary element slime cards here, Slime Eruption is really cool. And we will make a fire slime video in the future, but I don't think that's right now. I think I want to focus on wind, and the reason being is green slime was a deck that I played when Fractured Crown came out. So green slime says on enter, put 2 buff counters on it. On leave, put those buff counters that were on green slime on target ally. And the interaction I want to point out, if people aren't familiar with it, is particularly with Displace. So Displace says, banish target ally, then return it to the field under its owner's control, rested. Okay, so in Grand Archive, you have to fully resolve a card before you can move on to any triggering effects. So with Displace, we are going to banish it, then it's going to return to the field, and then any ETB or leaves field abilities will be triggered after the fact. What that means for the green slime is the green slime will leave play, re-enter play, and then there'll be 2 triggers. The enter play, which will put buff counters on it, and the leave play, well, technically the leave play happens first, but anyway, and the leave play to put its buff counters on target ally. That ally can be itself. So we can use Displace to keep our green slime alive. We have to fully resolve the Displace, so the green slime has left play and come back to play. Now we have these triggering effects we have to resolve. So the green slime can basically give itself its own tokens. So for that reason, right, that was a deck I played way back in Fractured Crown. So we want to take that deck and update it for the Mercurial Hearts time. So that's going to be kind of the core here. And, you know, we'll walk through kind of the stuff we're going through as we go through. So first we need Sylvie, but spelled correctly. Sylvie, but spelled correctly. That might be too much to ask. Oh my God. Maybe I'll edit this out. Okay, Sylvie, and Slime Sylvie. And I do want to stop and take a moment and talk about Sylvie with the pack. This might be the worst hero in the game. I absolutely hate this card. So you know I must be excited about slimes if I'm willing to endure this. Now, before everyone gets at me, they're like, you could draw 2 cards off of this. You absolutely could. Or more than likely, you draw none. It's the way it works out. If you're winning, you'll draw 1 or 2. If you're losing or down, it's an incredibly punishing level up that feels horrible, but it's necessary for these Sylvie decks because it's the only level 2 Sylvie we have. Sylvie level 3 does have lineage, and we're building to Sylvie level 3 because it says we can play all the advanced element slimes, and we can play slimes when she comes into play that cost 2 less, and it hits a buff counter. So some really cool and interesting things there. But we do have to deal with Sylvie the pack, and I just want to get it out of here right now. It's a really miserable card. Like, we don't like it. We don't like it at all. It's an accepted evil. We have to play it. Okay, we also decided we were playing Wind. And before I pick a spirit here, I want to talk about Luxem Xander. So in any of the decks where you really have to get to level 3 to shine, I think glimpsing is incredibly important. And I'm willing to try Fragmented Spirit of the Wind for it. Now, this deck can function as a level 1 deck, with just like slimes, turn them sideways, and beat down. But in my head, I envision it being more of a level 3 deck. I like the Fragmented Spirit of the Wind. It's going to get us a Spirit Shard token, which will allow us to draw a card when we get to level 3. So I'm going to use this the same way Luxem Xander did. It's going to help me dig for cards that are important for clean level ups and dungeon guides. So let's give it a try. Fragmented Spirit of Wind, here we go. Okay, and this is enough to start the deck creation. I don't think we have to come up with all of our material here now. Let's jump back to the material after the fact. But again, this is enough for us to get going. Let's figure out the main deck things that we need. So we're a level 3 deck, so we want dungeon guides. I want 4 dungeon guides. The other interesting guide is going to be this Academy guide. And Wind, I think, does the best job of keeping this alive. Cabin over at True Champion had a really interesting Lorraine build that ran it. And Academy guide has a couple interesting things. It's an animal. So there are some synergies with Sylvie, like Sylvie level 2. This could draw you a card. So the Academy guide is going to let materialization cost 1 less to materialize if they're champions. And I'm tentatively going to put 2 of them in there. That gives us 6 total guides. I'm not sure I love the distribution, but we're going to keep it for now. We're then going to look for slimes. So these neutral slimes, I think, are key here. I'm just going to add both of them in. We can talk about it in a second. Baby Gray Slime. On enter, reveal 2 slime cards from my hand of memory. If you do draw a card, that's amazing. Does it do much? Nope, absolutely not. But it replaces itself and it helps us level up. It gets us a slime on the field. That's great. Happy to play that. Limitless Slime. The slime knows no boundaries. Level 1, Floating Memory. Level 2, it becomes a 1/3. And then you can put a buff count on it if we're level 3+. So Limitless Slime, great. Happy to include those. We can only play Advanced Element Slimes and Wind cards. So we can ignore these here. Baby Green, enter, suppress target item or weapon. I think the slime is great, and we'll talk about it in just a moment. Green Slime, already talked about it. Its interaction with Displace. I just think it's a wonderful slime to add. Slime's Blessing, a level counter on the champion and a buff counter on each slime that we target. I'm tentatively going to put these in. I'm just going to put 2. We can figure out the exact quantity later. Slime Shield, prevent the next 3 damage that would be at the target unit. If it's a slime, put a buff counter on it. Tentatively, it might not make the cut. Storm Slime, I think, is the best advanced element slime we have. It's a 3/1, on enter, deals damage equal to the number of slime cards in your banishment. On death, you can banish cards at random from your memory if you do draw 2 cards. I think this card is amazing. It synergizes with the King Slime if we want to run it out there. It's also just like the odds of us banishing slime cards are really high. I want to run Storm Slimes. I want to run 4. We talked about the Slime King. I don't think he's the best slime, but I want to put him in the deck because I want to try it. As additional cost, we have to banish 3 slimes from our graveyard, and they have to have different elements. That means Nullifying Lantern shuts this down. On leave, you can put any number of the slime ally cards banished by Slime King onto the field under your control. Note, that's just an on leave, so if we displace him, we can get those slimes back. So it might be win more, it might be too cute. Again, tentatively adding some Slime Kings. Ethereal Slime, Ethereal Slime, I don't know how to say that word. This level 5 is amazing. Prevent non-combat damage. I don't know how often we're going to get there. More than likely, this is a 2 cost for a 3/3 slime that says draw a card. Sure, that's great. I'm going to put it in the deck. How many? Oh, it's a real question. Let's go with 3. Lustrous Slime, Pride 5, Taunt. Reveal any number of slime cards from memory. For each one revealed, put a buff counter on it. Recover X, where X is the number of buff counters on it. I think this is good enough to help with the stabilization piece late game. I'm tentatively going to put 2 in the deck. Verdant Slime, it destroys a Regalia. I think this is a sideboard slime. And we're not making our sideboard right now. Engineering Slime, we're not using power cells. I do want to make a power cell build, though, so we'll get to Engineering Slime in the future. Don't think it's a place for it. Twilight Slime gives our slime Spell Shroud. Really good. Not what I'm looking for. Possibly a sideboard card. Depends how many material cards we want in our sideboard. Convoking Slime, I like, but it feels like a win more. Like the odds of me kind of going to untap with a 2/2 seems low, so I'm going to skip Convoking. Vampiric Slime is great. I want 2 or 3 in the deck. On hit, recover X, where X is the amount of damage dealt. So if you cleave with Bestial Wrath, if you just get a bunch of buff counters on it, Vampiric Slime can be an absolute house. Let's tentatively put 3 in. All right, let's take a look, see what the deck looks like. 40 cards right off the bat without us fine-tuning the numbers here. And there are a couple more cards that I think are really important. So let's kind of jump over them. The first one is going to be Displace. I think Displace is too good not to have in the deck, especially when we talk about the combo. I think Zephyr is a phenomenal card. I still think Spelling is really hard. I'm tentatively putting 2 Zephyrs in. I think Reclaim is a really powerful card with Academy Guide. I'm tentatively putting 2 Reclaims in. Reclaim also works with Green Slime. It also works with Baby Green Slime. Now, Baby Green Slime, if you remember, says it basically flickers an item, right? Suppress target item or weapon. We can obviously use that offensively by flickering our opponent's stuff, especially with the fast activation. But there is a piece that we got here, and it's Cake. Who doesn't love Cake? We can flicker this. It's an item, right? On enter, draw a card. That's great. So we could Green Slime into the Forest Cake to draw us a card. We can also sacrifice this to put a buff counter, right, on things as they kind of interplay. So, just an interesting thing. I want 4 Forest Cakes. Okay, so now we're up to 52 cards here. I feel like the numbers are pretty decent, and there's one more card that has a recent print that hasn't seen much play, but I think Escape from the Wreckage is a phenomenal card. 3 fast, we're going to do 4 cards to hold it up. It is colorless, though. Return target ally you control to memory. If you do, draw a card into memory. So it replaces itself, and it puts a card into our memory. So we can use this on to protect our slimes from dying, to put them back in memory so we can cast them in the future. We can use this with the green slime to transfer its tokens over. We can use this for storm slime, so we can recast the storm slime to get an additional, the on enter trigger off of it. There's a lot of great things we can do for Escape the Wreckage. I want to tentatively put 4 of those in the deck. So that puts us up to 56 cards. I have to be missing, I'm missing Frenzy. We need at least a couple Frenzies. Frenzy is hilarious, right up to like $35, which is ridiculous, but maybe. Basically, we're getting a +1 level, helps with Pride, +1 attack, helps with attacking, or we can Cleave. That's that really cool synergy with the Vampiric Slime. I like it a lot. So, do we just put 4 in? 4 is too many. 4 is way too many, right? I can't run 4. 4 is too many. Let's go down to 2. Okay, so how are we looking? So we have level up cards. We have, let's put early game slimes up top. I want early plays towards the beginning. And I want stuff we can only do later at the end. Okay. 6 here feels right. I definitely don't think there's any world where I run less than max of those slimes. I don't think there's a world where I run less than max of those slimes. Slime Blessing or Slime Shield could increase. Let's just run 3 of each. They're new cards. I kind of want to test those cards more. Like, I think adding more Zephyrs would be more impactful. But the Slime's Blessing, right? We pick up to 3 units. We put a level counter if it's a champion or a buff counter on each slime ally. For Slime Shield, it's going to help us keep slimes alive. I don't think this card's good enough, but we're going to keep it in the deck for now just to see how it does. Next 3 damage that will be dealt to unit this turn. So it doesn't have to be 1 source. That card might be good enough. So let's up both of those to 3 just to see kind of how it feels. We kind of, if we look at this the same way we look at like an Astra package with Arisana or something, right? We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're well under kind of the 20 max ceiling we want to get to. We have a couple different effects to keep our things alive. We have Blessing, technically, Slime Shield. We have Reclaim. We have Zephyr, right? Just suppress target ally or Regalia. And we have Displace. And we can use Zephyr and Displace offensively on our opponent's cards to keep our things alive, or defensively on our own cards to benefit from our Leaves play or Enter play ability. So I'm pretty happy with this, especially because knowing that we're going into this testing Slime Blessing, testing Slime Shield. Let's jump over to sideboard. We haven't talked, we got to finish material deck before we can do sideboard, right? Absolutely. So we need at least 2 effects that are going to add level. I feel pretty confident in that way. So I think the ears are a staple. It's just going to give us +1. The other one that I think is important here, the level was clearly not the thing to search for, is Effigy here. Your champion gets +1 level as long as you control a beast or ally, and then, sure, we're better against cleaves. So I think Effigy is definitely one that we want to add in there as well. We got a brand new slime card. We got 2 brand new slime cards. The one that interests me is Pudding. It's going to cost 0. Until the end of your turn, slime arrows enter the field under your control. So we could Zephyr them, we could displace them, right? Enter the field, or we could just activate them. They get an additional buff counter. So I think the Pudding is good enough. Nexus costs us 1 to reduce the next activation by 3. I don't think it's good enough, especially because we have to banish the Nexus. Totem is really interesting, giving slimes we control Vigor. Again, not sure it's good enough, but I do like the idea of Vigor. It's also gorgeous art there. The Verdant Scepter, I think, is absolutely busted. On enter, you can banish a slime ally you control. If you do, put an amount of refinement counters on Verdant Scepter equal to the banishment of our ally's power +1. Remove a refinement counter, put a buff counter on each of up to 2 slime counters you control. I think this card is phenomenal. I'm adding it in there. We have to test it to see how good it is, obviously. We need a Divine Relic. I'm inclined to just take the GCR, so we're just going to add that to the deck for a little bit more card draw. I guess it's a 9 cards. We still have so many more cards we can add here. So Covenant, where is it? There it is. Covenant of Thorns, costs 1 less to materialize because we're a tamer. Ally Link, if damage would be dealt to your champion, instead it's dealt to the linked ally instead. I think this is good enough. There's some cute synergies. If we somehow get to level 5 with the Ethereal Slime, it will prevent all non-combat damage coming into it. So, yeah, I don't know. Might be cuter than good, but I'm fine putting it out there. I think there are a few other Terras that are probably worth adding in there. I don't know the Terra cards that well because I'm not a tamer main. But let's take a look at them. Oh, Gaia's Blessing is phenomenal, right? Gaia's Blessing has an alternated activation, which is banishing cards. And I can play with the top of my animal deck revealed, and I can activate animal and beast ally cards from the top of my deck. Definitely needs to go in. Is Seed of Nature any good? No, I don't think I need Seed of Nature. Stone Scale Band, discard up to 3 allies from your hand and then draw that many cards. That could be good, especially when we pair it with the King Slime, which has that requirement of banishing cards, right? Banish 3 slime ally cards from graveyards. So the Stone Scale Band is a pretty decent way to get there. And then magically, we're already at 12 cards. Notable omissions, Terrafring, Nullifying Lantern. Nullifying Lantern kind of hurts our own Slime King, but that's okay. All right, let's go to the sideboard now. So let's add those in here. And with the new sideboard rules, these material cards we're adding are going to cost us 3. So I'm going to add a couple, and we might, again, cut them back in the future because we only have 15 points to mess with. And, yeah, oh, it can be a little scary. Beastbound Paws. Is Paws the one? Nope, Paws isn't it. Beastbound Boots. Yep, Spell Shroud. I think Spell Shrouds are good. That's 9 points. That's probably too many. Are there alternative slimes we want to add in? Or what else do we want to add in the sideboard? All right, let's see. Do we have enough... Do we want Fairy Whispers? Do we want just more Zephyrs? Okay, who would we sideboard Fairy Whispers into? Probably nothing. Okay, good talk. So we're not adding that. Zephyrs, I could see a world where I'm adding more Zephyrs. So let's add the Zephyrs in here. There's a bunch of different matchups where I just want more control over there to get the Zephyrs up and going. We have the Nullifying Lantern. Life Essence wouldn't be horrible if we wanted more card draw. I don't know what else we want in this sideboard. We could definitely up in Frenzy. I think that would be reasonable. We could have... Let's put both the Frenzies in the side. We're also missing, arguably, the best ally in the Dream Fairy. I think I have room for 3 if I did my math right. Nope, that gets us to 16. I don't think this is horrible. Keep in mind, if we bring in Nullifying Lantern, we'd almost always want to be bringing out Slime King. I think this is fine. I would be willing to sleeve this up and play it as it kind of currently stands here. All right, let's run through it again to make sure I'm not missing anything. We have Fragment, Spirit of the Wind. We want this because we're glimpsing. We're a level 3 deck. We need to find clean ways to level up, and we're looking for one of our guides, Dungeon or Academy guides. We've got Sylvie 1. We've got Sylvie 2. And we've got Sylvie 3. Hey, Sylvie 3 is great. We have Ears. And we have Effigy to get us artificial levels. We have Pudding to do shenanigans with displays, Zephyr effects, or just to buff some slimes coming onto the field. We have Grand Crusader Ring, just because we like drawing cards. We have Verdant Scepter, because I think it could be absolutely busted. I might be wrong, though. This is why we're testing. We have Covenant of Thorns, which is great to help us stabilize at level 3, prevent some damage from ourselves. We also have like a small combo with the Ethereal Slime if we're high enough. We have Gaia's Blessing, which allows us to play off the top of the deck, which is phenomenal. This is just like a... what is it name? Cabal Coffers? No, it's not Cabal Coffers. I can't remember the name of that 6-cost artifact that lets you play off the top for life. But anyway, Gaia's Blessing is great. And we have Stone Scale Band, which has a cute synergy with Slime King and allows us to filter a little bit more, because there are a lot of slimes we might want early in the game, we don't want late, and then there's just a lot of situational slimes. We have 6 guide effects to help us level up, whether that's Dungeon Guide or the Academy Guide. In order to play Academy Guide, you need at least some ways to keep her alive. Those ways we're running are technically Reclaim, Zephyr, Displace, and we theoretically could use Slime Shield on it. Theoretically. We have Forest Cake, which is great because we're fat and we like cake. In addition, it draws us a card. Lastly, we can sacrifice it for more buff counters. We have the Baby Slime, which can flicker that cake to draw us an additional card. This is also fast, and we can use this to suppress opponents' items or weapons if we need to. We have the Baby Gray Slime, which allows it to replace itself, selling us 2 slime cards to draw a card. And we've kept our slime count relatively speaking high, right? We've got 4, 8, 12, 16. I think these are both slimes here. That gets us to 22. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, right? 36 slime count there. So the odds of us being able to get the Baby Gray is pretty high. We have Limitless Slime, which I think is just a great colorless slime. It starts under rate. It will end wonderfully, especially when you count in it has floating memory, so it can kind of replace itself later on. We have Green Slime, which we talked about. It has the cute synergy with Displace. We fully resolved the Displace. Then we have the Green Slime's 2 triggers there. We have Slime's Blessing, which again, we're testing. Gets us level counters and buff counters. Slime Shield, which again, we're testing. Keeps us alive, gives us buff counters. Reclaim, we went into that before, mainly to protect Academy Guide. We can use it to protect other things, or to draw and replace Storm Slime, right? Zephyr, Displace, went over. Escape from the Wreckage, really undervalued card. I think it has a lot of promise. Came out of Alchemical Revolution. We're going to return a slime to your memory and draw a card into memory. Again, replaces itself. Bestial Frenzy, really high upside card, can give us levels, can give us power, can give us cleave, right? And then cleave on the Vampiric Slime, monstrous. On recover, hit, recover, where X is the amount of dealt by hit. Could be absolutely insane. Lustrous Slime to help us balance, help us stabilize, put something in the way, can gain us some life here. Ethereal Slime, right, replaces itself with the cantrip, with the banish and the draw effect. If we get to level 5, is kind of cute with the Covenant of Thorns. It also has True Sight and Pride. Slime King, we just want to test the big boy. Don't know if he's good, but I like him. I like him a lot. That's my spirit animal, so I want to test it. We have the band in there as well. Storm Slime, which I think is the best card in the deck. We want to flicker this as much as we possibly can. This is probably how we're going to be winning most games. So there we go. First swipe at Wind, Slime, Sylvie. Let's save it. Wind, Slime, Sylvie 1.0. Sylvie, I think I'm spelling that right. Cool. Things we're testing. We're testing, I can't remember their name. We're testing Slime's Blessing and Slime Shield. Slime's Blessing. Slime Shield. Slime King. Right? These are the things we want to do. Is Blessing. Is it good enough? Honestly, I think this is what we're testing for all of these. And is it... can we cast this often enough to be meaningful? Or is it just like too rare that we have the 3 cards in there, we're level 3, and we have the 4 that we can require to cast this thing? So those are my initial questions on it. There's a bunch of different ways we can go here. Let's publish this deck. Let's get it out there in the public here. And again, look forward for videos of me playing this into kind of known decks in the future. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Let me know what you think is better. Let me know if you don't think Sylvie with the pack is the worst commander out there, or hero out there, champion. Let me know who you think is. I think it's Sylvie with the pack. But hey, I would love to be wrong here. Let me know your fun slime builds. And again, look for gameplay videos for this in the future. If we get to 500 subs, I will, I don't know, give some stuff away. That could be cool. So I hope you enjoyed the deck. I hope you're getting out there and playing some Grand Archive. Your mercurial hearts is everything that your heart desired here. And until next time, everyone, cheers and happy gaming.